All right, let's jump right into a huge strategic shift that's happening in public accounting. We're talking about why so many US CPA firms are looking to India to gain a real competitive edge, not just in auditing, but in fund accounting too. Let's get to it. So let's start with a feeling that probably hits pretty close to home for anyone in the industry. You've got tighter deadlines, staff coming and going, clients demanding more and more. It really is a high wire act. This idea of constantly juggling fire is the central problem that firms are desperately trying to solve. So if that whole pressure cooker environment sounds familiar, the next question is pretty obvious. What's the smart move here? How do you get past just coping and actually start building a firm that's more resilient and way more competitive? That's what we're going to unpack. To figure out the answer, we've got to understand the crisis itself. Let's break down exactly what pressures are fueling this fire and pushing US audit firms to completely rethink how they operate. It really boils down to this growing gap between what needs to get done and who's available to do it. And it's driven by four key things. First, there's the talent shortage. Everyone's fighting over the same small pool of auditors. Then you've got compliance rules that just keep getting more and more complicated. That leads to workload compression, where busy season feels like it's all year long. And finally, the cost of keeping that in-house talent is just soaring. It's pretty clear the old way of doing things is hitting a breaking point. And that breaking point is exactly what's leading firms to look towards India. But, forget everything you might think about old school outsourcing. This is a totally different ballgame. It's a fundamental strategic shift. Let's look at how firms are reframing this whole idea. This slide really just nails the change in thinking. The old view, it was seeing outsourcing as just a backup plan, right? A simple cost-cutting tactic when you had overflow work. The new reality is completely different. It's a core strategy. It's a growth lever that lets firms build capacity and scale in a way they just couldn't before. So why India? Why specifically there? Well, because it's become what you might call the audit engine room for US firms. And this is about so much more than saving money. It's about getting access to incredibly skilled professionals who are already trained in US GAAP and JAS. The time zone difference creates this 24-hour work cycle, which means faster turnarounds. But the real game changer is having this disciplined, scalable support system that can grow or shrink right along with your firm's needs. Okay, that all sounds great in theory, but how does it actually work in the real world? What does it look like to build this offshore extension of your team? Let's walk through the process, especially those crucial first few months. The whole onboarding is this really structured 3-month journey. In month 1, it's all about setup and alignment. Getting the system access sorted, training them on your specific templates, and running some trial tasks. By month 2, the workflow really starts to smooth out. The communication gets predictable, and you start assigning more complex work. And then by month 3, the offshore team is fully integrated. They're handling more work and really operating like a natural extension of your own staff. Of course, the number one question on everyone's mind is always security. And honestly, it should be. The leading providers in India have built their entire model around these super strict, multi-layered protocols. We're talking encrypted systems, restricted physical access, controlled file transfers, and tough review processes. Every single step is designed to make sure client data stays 100% protected and confidential.
And this strategic model isn't just for traditional audits. As alternative investments keep growing, the demand for highly specialized fund accounting is absolutely exploding. And guess what? The same partnership principle applies.
These offshore teams are handling incredibly precise, complex work. This includes managing partner capital accounts, calculating NAV, modeling carried interest, and prepping audit-ready financial schedules. Look, these are not simple bookkeeping tasks. This stuff requires deep sector-specific knowledge, and that's exactly what these specialized teams bring to the table. So when you put it all together, it becomes really clear. This is so much more than just an operational fix for a capacity problem. It's a fundamental decision about how your firm is going to grow in the future. At the end of the day, it's a single, integrated strategy. It's one strategic move that takes care of capacity, expertise, and flexibility all at the same time. And by taking some of that pressure off your in-house team, it just creates a healthier, more balanced work environment for everybody. And that's the transformation. That's the whole point. It lets a firm shift its focus from just surviving the next busy season to actively scaling the business, taking on bigger clients, and delivering higher value services. And that really brings us to the final thought here. The choice for firms today isn't just about how to get the work done. It's about whether you're just putting temporary band-aids on today's problems or if you're actually building a strategic, resilient foundation for tomorrow's growth. That's a question we're thinking about. Thanks for joining me.